Hello. Wherever you are in the world today, thank you for joining us for the Rise Traveler, unpacking conversations of sustainable travel. We're here to move a step beyond the Instagram-ready world of travel and think critically and deeply about how travel can uplift global communities, protect natural ecosystems, and be a source of growth for travelers. Here at Rise Travel Institute, we are committed to empowering travelers and travel professionals through education. Our programs, research, experiential journeys, scholarships, and free resources are all aimed at bringing you closer to a more responsible and ethical travel experience. Learn more by visiting risetravelinstitute.org.
Hello, 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 wherever you are in the world today. Thank you for joining us on the Rise Traveler, unpacking conversations of sustainable travel. I'm your host, Amy Hager. Welcome. And today joining me is Kristen Barron, and she's joining me from Dallas. And what I love about Kristen is she is our grant manager here at the Rise Travel Institute, but she also served on our social media content creation team too. So she's been around for a little over a year, maybe closer to a year and a half now, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's very, very cool to be able to talk to someone who has, progressed in Rise and been able to be in multiple departments. So thank you so much for joining me today, Kristen.
Thank you. I'm really excited to get to chat with you today.
Yeah. And so, first, if you can remember back, why did you originally decide to volunteer with Rise? Like, how did you find out about the organization? What really attracted you to the volunteer opportunity?
Yeah. I don't remember exactly kind of like when it started, but I would say probably I started looking, I was on a career break, kind of traveling around the world, and travel is just one of my biggest passions.
Mhm.
And I knew that I wanted to get more involved in the industry. I knew just as someone who'd been traveling around the world for a long time, even before my career break, that something was shifting in me and how I wanted to travel. And I knew that I really wanted to do my travels in a more sustainable and responsible way. So I just kind of started researching companies out there that were doing that type of work that I could learn from and possibly even get involved with. And so that's kind of what led me, I think, to Rise. What's kind of kept me there since I've been there, a year and
Ah,
a half now. Um, One of the things I really love about the organization is I would say when I looked at a lot of the organizations out there that were talking about sustainable travel, so much of that was really kind of geared towards the traditional conversations around carbon footprints
yes.
or, traveling with like reusable water bottles, reducing plastic, reducing, energy, water use, which all of those things are extremely important and we should be doing those. But I really loved that Rise was kind of going a little bit deeper.
Yes. Yeah.
And one of the things I liked that they were kind of going up, beyond some of those standard conversations around sustainability and kind of getting to like those underlying kind of interconnected patterns
Right.
um, that were really, I think, encouraging deeper conversation and that were
Yep.
they're very complex, they're very nuanced. They can be
Mhm.
very difficult kind of things to look at, but I loved that once I kind of got involved in the organization, I felt like Vinci, who's the executive director and founder, had really created a very safe space to have these types of difficult conversations. And
Yeah.
so she really created a space of inclusion. I really felt like so many of the people that are part of Rise, it's a 100% volunteer ran organization.
Right.
So there's a lot of passion that's
Yeah.
involved. And so it's just really inspiring to get to be in conversation with so many people who are very passionate about not only travel, but doing so responsibly and ethically. And all of the work that kind of comes along with that and the deeper conversations and critical thinking that kind of comes with that as
Yeah.
well. I would also probably say one of the things that I love about the organization, um, coming from the corporate environment and then going into kind of the nonprofit
Yeah.
space was very different for me, and just kind of seeing kind of how that works. And I love that Rise has really given me an opportunity to grow not only personally, but professionally, and kind of getting to work in a lot of different areas. Like you were introing just about, I worked in social. I didn't
Right.
have a lot of experience actually creating social content. So getting to do that, helping them look at brand strategies, and then now getting to work on investigating and researching funding opportunities. And that's just another way to tell the story and to really, again, deepen the conversation.
Right.
So yeah,
Well,
so it's just been a great opportunity.
and I think the cool thing that you hit the nail on the head that really resonates for me is, when I heard about sustainable travel, I spent years in the bed and breakfast industry, the small
Mhm.
lodging industry. And I do a lot with our travel and tourism department here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, but I thought sustainable travel was the recycling program, getting solar panels put onto your property and things along those lines. And so to be able to really expand into what sustainable travel actually means, how it is critical thinking to overcome really deep problems is what I love about being here. And it's really reshaped how I define the word sustainable now. And
Yeah.
so I love that you kind of share that view and that journey with me, because I felt a little silly when I started, and I was like, I've spent a lot of time in tourism. And when you said sustainable, that's what I was thinking, like green recycling programs. And I showed up here and I was like, oh, I feel like I'm not the smartest person. What am I doing here? But it's been so welcoming. Like we all get that
Yeah.
opportunity to really learn and to really educate ourselves and to be a part of those conversations and feel okay to say, I don't understand what you're talking about. Can you break this down for me? And so, knowing that you've left corporate, you did a career break. We're going to get into this a little bit more. Knowing that you now have your own business, I am curious, how does your personal and your business values really align with Rise, and what impact does that make on you?
Yeah. I really feel like when I think both like the work that I'm doing in my business and just even personally, and the work that I kind of do through Rise, one of the things that comes up for me all the time is just this concept around the need to be more open-minded.
Mhm.
We're definitely living in a world of polarization and division more than ever. And so this need to be open-minded, this need to kind of create and cultivate this space where you can have diverse opinions, diverse ideas and thoughts and experiences, and all of that is welcomed, right? And so just kind of encouraging that exploration,
Okay.
um, encouraging that kind of critical thinking, like digging deeper around our thoughts and beliefs, our motivations, our assumptions. I just feel like once you start to do that, once you start to have kind of that self awareness,
Mhm.
it really starts to open up again your mind. You start to see people like you don't see people from a different perspective. You see yourself within
Yeah.
that as well, like reflected in those other people's experiences. And I just feel like that begins to open up this space for more understanding, more respect, for each other, for planet. And there's kind of a freedom and a liberation, I feel like, around that as well, like being able to break down those barriers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really feel like a lot of the values that Rise, really tries to instill and really like brings in to all the work that they're doing has that open-mindedness, that inclusive feel,
Yeah.
that deep kind of respect and reverence
Right.
for others. So much even in the coaching space, like while Rise is about that connection with others and kind of like that more external connection, like in my healing and coaching business, so much of what I do is also internal. So much of our like, I know it may sound cliche to say, but when you think about like be the change you want to see
Right.
in the world,
Yeah.
like so much of my work has to do with that. And I feel like a lot of the work that Rise is ultimately trying to do is really cultivate that connection. So,
Well, so then when you tell us a little bit more about what is it that you actually do and what is your business about? Because I want to get a little bit into some of that and ask you some questions about travel and such. But can you explain to the audience what you do as a break career coach?
yeah. So pretty much all of my work is around helping people really find more purpose and joy and meaning in their life. And I found myself as I was in my corporate career starting to really feel, I don't know, kind of lost and a little bit unfulfilled. I was definitely caught up in the standard approach of achieving success, climbing that corporate ladder, and I really found myself kind of being feeling disconnected, and there was a lot of stress and burnout, and so I made the decision to leave my corporate job and go on a 18 I ended up going on an 18-month career break, and travel was pretty much the biggest thing that I wanted to do during that time. Actually, my word for the year while I was doing that travel was connection. So all of my experiences while I was on my career break was really about, leading from a place of connection, whether to myself, to others, to planet, and to spirit. That was really kind of like my driving force. And through that, I just felt like I learned so much, and travel ended up being an amazing guide and teacher for me, along with all the people and the places that I got to visit along my travels. And so when I came back, that was just something I really wanted to help other people experience, and to really help other people feel the permission to be able to take a step back,
Yeah.
and end up, using that gift, because it is a privilege and it is a gift to be able to take a career break and to even be able to travel on your career break. So, really being able to do that intentionally, and with a lot of thought behind what you truly are trying to bring forth in your life and in your relationships, and how you can bring that expression more into your community.
So then I love this. You're totally teeing up for my very curious question of so when you were on your career break travel, was there an experience that you had while because you already had like that transformation experience of deciding to leave your corporate career and travel, you said 18 months, right?
Yeah.
So was there an experience on that travel that really had a positive impact on your life and really enhanced it? I think in the way that you were hoping for when you packed your bags and left, right?
Right. Yeah. I would just say the whole experience of being able to take a career break and travel was in and itself, yes, transformational, and has had such a positive impact on my life. I would say there were a lot of things that I ended up doing. One of them was the Camino de Santiago. And so, for those who do not know about what that is, it is the one that I did. There's different Caminos, but the one that I did was a 500-mile pilgrimage from the south of France all the way across Spain. And it ended up taking me about 42 days to do, with like some rest days in between. But so much of that really taught me about slowing down and the need to slow down. It really taught me a lot about simplicity, and that I don't need a whole lot. There's so many lessons. Like, even going on from that, I ended up doing some volunteering in South Africa and Kenya. And I even spent 2 months in Peru doing some yoga teacher training, but like all of these experiences, like almost the majority of my time that I was traveling, I was doing these experiences
Mhm.
that, often involved no television.
Yeah.
There was often no internet where I was, or it was like intermittent. Sometimes you had it, sometimes you didn't, or I would have to go far, like to a lodge, like walk far to get it, or
Right.
um, there was often no electricity, or like rolling blackouts where you wouldn't have electricity. Sometimes there wasn't hot water.
Wow.
So that I feel like in each of those like experiences, and all of them were different and unique in their own ways. Again,
Yeah.
it really brought me back to that place of simplicity, like all these modern day conveniences and how they're actually can be really distracting from, again, connection, right? So from us
Yeah.
connecting, from us being fully present in the moment. And those are things that, even though now I'm back in the States and I'm back home, that I find myself continuously trying to, capture again, and I have to do a lot of getting out in nature, and again trying to get away from a lot of the distractions, and kind of making sure I'm remembering
Right.
that I don't need all of these things, and remembering to like put a lot of those distractions away and just truly connect in the moment and be fully kind of present. Um,
I love
we're often like just on autopilot. Like so many of us are just moving on autopilot, one thing after another, constantly on our phones, constantly
that.
distracted.
Yes. Yes.
And so that just really helped me see like, oh, hey, I can do this. I don't need these things. And actually, it's kind of nice to
Yeah.
not have
No.
it.
Most definitely. Like we disconnect to reconnect deeper with
Yes.
ourselves. And so I love that you did so many different experiences while you were on that break. And I know that you're still traveling and such, and you had even traveled before this, right? So I am curious though, when you think about all of your travel experiences and you really reflect back, is there one that maybe you would have done differently because specifically of what you've really learned from what we've been exposed to here at Rise and the learnings that we've got to go through here at Rise?
Yeah, I would definitely say, just in general, I have really thought a lot more about kind of my motivations and my intent behind some of the experiences that I want to do. When I think about that, I'd probably say there's this one time, one of my first trips to South Africa, I had asked my travel advisor to build into my itinerary this cultural experience, this opportunity to give back. I think so many people are, wanting to do that these days.
Yeah, of course.
And they had built in this half day township tour that included a visit to a primary school. And at the time, I thought, this is kind of weird, but okay, let's go with that. But when we pulled up to the school that day, I just felt like something was really off, and I didn't, you know, really feel like this was probably the best thing I should have been doing. It was kind of disrupting the school day.
Yeah.
And I felt like the experience was really designed more for my satisfaction, and wasn't really a great experience or opportunity for kind of this cultural exchange. We ended up going into a schoolroom, and the teacher, did share, like, had the kids share with us just like what they knew about the US. And then they also sang a song for us, and it did feel a little performative. And that just didn't feel right for me. There's nothing
Right.
right, I think, or wrong about the situation, and everything's complex and nuanced. But
Yeah.
in my heart, I just felt like this probably wasn't the best way to go about what I was trying, what I had hoped to
Yeah.
get out of the experience. And so it just really, now I would definitely question my motivation, my intent behind things, and then trying to see if there's a better opportunity or way to do that that's mutually
Yeah.
beneficial.
And I think that's the key is that mutual beneficial part that sometimes we miss when we're wanting to go in with that intent. And so I think that is one of the things too that I've really taken from what we teach here at Rise is when you
Yeah.
are doing in community activities and, volunteering and such, what is the mutual benefit of
Right.
you being there and you being within that community? And so, one question that really I think is going to be fun to play with here, knowing what you do for work as a career break coach, how do you see the future of travel for those who are really taking those career breaks and spending a year, 2 year, whatever it is, out traveling?
Yeah, I think it just can be really, again, if you're doing it with intention and you're really kind of thinking about this opportunity to connect and to create connections with people, and you're wanting to do this, I feel like in a way that, again, is mutually beneficial. Travel can be an amazing guide and teacher for you.
Mhm.
While on a career break, you certainly don't have to do any travel. It'll really depend on what your goals are. But I do think travel can be a great guide and teacher, and it can help you and expose you to new cultures and new perspectives, different ways of life, and that can really create that deep and meaningful connection and different ways of understanding of who we are and our place in the world.
And so then, knowing that, understanding who we are and really being able to understand that deeper because we're exposing ourselves to situations or new environments that we've never been in and new ways of thinking. And like you said earlier, when we kicked off, like, a way to really be engaged in conversation, to really appreciate each other and appreciate the different upbringings, the different lifestyles, the different everything, and really honoring human to human of who we are and what we're about, and having that mutual respect, I think is so cool to hear that that's what you hope that career break people have experienced. It's what you've experienced. And so when you think about your legacy and really what you want to be leaving behind in this world with the work that you're doing here at Rise, with the work that you do in your business, what is the legacy that you actually want to leave behind?
Yeah, that's always a loaded question. It's a big one, but I think like definitely through my work, I just really hope to inspire others to just really live more fully in the present. To be able to move through life with a sense of purpose and meaning, and be able to act in integrity with your true self and contribute that gift to the world. Like, how can, like, that understanding and
Oh,
that mutual connection.
I love that. I love that. Well, Kristen, thank you so much for diving in and really exploring today. I think the last question that I want to wrap up our session with today is, as grant manager here at Rise, what are some of the specific things you are looking for when you're applying for grants? Because that way, if our audience has a better idea of how we can bring funding into Rise to continue to offer our programs and continue to grow our education, what are some advice for the people who are listening that might be able to connect the dots of, oh, maybe I should suggest Rise apply for this, or maybe I should connect these two? Is there any advice you can give?
Yeah, I think like it is hard in some of the work that we do, because so much of the work we do is systemic. And so we are talking about a lot of very broad topics. And so much of the grant opportunities that are out there are very specific. So if you're looking at environmental, they're very, they're wanting to fund very specific programs, like around reducing carbon or plastics or things like that. And because so much of the work we do goes deeper than that, it can be hard sometimes to find funding opportunities or grant making foundations that really want to fund systemic type of thinking. So that really want to fund that deeper thinking and that deeper work versus very specific activities. So that's definitely something that has been challenging.
Yeah, and I
with.
think that's a really great point, right? Is because we are looking at it from this larger lens and really looking at the critical thinking and educating people to
Right.
then be critical thinkers themselves and to look at systemic solutions. Yeah, that makes your job not an easy one. So thank you so much for your time and your dedication and everything that you bring to the table here at Rise. We love having you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been really great to be here and to get to chat about my work and how, so much of that I feel like overlaps with what I do at Rise as well. So
So much. Yeah. Tons of value alignment. And I love this. So, this does bring us to an end of our journey today. And if you're liking what you're hearing and you'd want to hear more, I would love to encourage you to please subscribe, like, comment. You can follow us at Rise Traveler on Facebook and Instagram. And just remember, here at the Rise Travel Institute, we do believe in conscious travel, and it can help create a more just and equitable world. So if you're a college student planning that study abroad trip, a tourism professional who wants to create more equitable and inclusive industry, or really anybody who is currently traveling the world, and you want to understand how travel in a just and sustainable way, I really encourage you to head on over to risetravelinstitute.org for more information on our educational programs. And we'll be back soon with another episode. But until then, keep roaming, keep learning, and continue to be a Rise Traveler.